What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another New York Giants roster bubble series video. Please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications so you know when a live stream pops or a video drops. Appreciate y'all coming back. Also, share out as well. Getting closer to training camp. The dates have been announced, which makes me very happy. But we're still in the dead time of the off season, so please share out. Get it out. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Do all the good stuff. Appreciate you guys as always. So before we go into today's profile, I'm going to give you a rundown about how these videos usually go. It's between 5 to 10 minutes long usually. I take a player that's on the cusp of being cut, talk about their background, who they're competing with. Then I go into how they could win a roster spot, how they could lose a roster spot, followed by prediction at the end. So let's get into a very familiar face. Darnay Holmes is the next candidate, profile, whatever you want to call it. So Darnay Holmes was drafted by the Giants in 2020. He obviously played kick returner, punt returner, and all types of corner at UCLA, fourth-round pick, and he was a starter immediately. Obviously got more snaps as the year went on because guys kept getting cut. The cornerback room wasn't really greatly situated. I mean, you had Bradbury on one side. Then the other side was Corey Ballantyne, Ryan Lewis, Isaac Yiadom, and Holmes was primarily the slot corner. So in his rookie year, I believe he was one of the few corners that did not allow a touchdown, which is a positive. But obviously, something that's really been sticking to him the last few years is the holding penalties. And that has been just, once again, a staple of his career, which is not necessarily a good thing. But anyway, in terms of his rookie year stats, he played 12 games, started 5, 1 interception that came against the Seattle Seahawks, 5 pass deflections, a fumble recovery, half a sack, which I believe was against the Dallas Cowboys, if I'm not mistaken, and 2 quarterback hits. And in terms of snaps, 55% of the defensive snaps played and 3% on special teams in coverage, allowed an 85.7 passer rating, a completion percentage of 75, which isn't really that good, and a total of, 323 yards. So not bad overall. I mean, pretty solid numbers if you look at it that way. Also 30 tackles. It's a 4th-round pick who is in the slot, so you kind of have to expect those things. Plus, the Giants were supposed to be quote-unquote rebuilding that year, and they almost made a playoff push, but obviously that fell through, amongst other things. So 2021 comes around. Darnay Holmes is the slot corner again, and there is possible competition coming in later in the year when Darnay Holmes goes down with an injury and Aaron Robinson steps in. Now, obviously, he stepped in. Adoree Jackson was injured at the time as well, so Aaron Robinson was also playing outside. But when Aaron Robinson came back, there was also sort of a rotation in the slot. Aaron Robinson played a little slot also as well. He played outside. But anyway, just to go over Darnay Holmes' stats and everything, 11 games, 4 starts, an interception, total of 2 pass deflections, 1 quarterback hit, 29 tackles in coverage. He got better passer rating-wise and also in terms of completion percentage-wise. 213 yards given up, 66.7 completion percentage, and a total of, 71.9 in passer rating. So he improved. He improved statistically. Obviously, holding penalties were still kind of a problem. It's not like they were a legit problem. Like every time he's on the field, he commits a holding penalty. That's not the case. But as I stated, later in the year, Aaron Robinson started playing the slot a little bit. So, that obviously would... Now, obviously, a lot of Giant fans did or did not know that Joe Judge was going to get fired and the whole defensive staff was going to be gone. But maybe about 2% of the fan base could probably sniff out Aaron Robinson's going to be solid competition for Darnay Holmes' next training camp. Either way, whether Joe Judge got fired or not. So that's 2021 for Darnay Holmes in 11 games. Well, he got injured the second half, and I don't think he returned. So next up is 2022. New defensive system, man-to-man coverage, Wink Martindale, Darnay Holmes, 15 games played, 2 starts, 1 forced fumble, 8 pass deflections, 38 total tackles. His first game was not a very good one. That was, of course, against the Tennessee Titans, where he committed a lot of holding penalties on that last drive. Remember, he had a holding penalty on Kyle Phillips and a couple other guys, which was not very good. Not very good at all. That basically propelled the Titans down the field. They missed the field goal. The Giants won, so it didn't matter, but you could just see there was like a problem with Darnay Holmes. It was kind of because at the end of the day, in my opinion, before we get to the stats of 2022, I think Darnay Holmes is more fit for a zone system. I don't think he's fit for man-to-man in the slot because I don't think he has the speed to compensate. And I just don't think he fits the scheme overall. But once again, I could be wrong. Maybe he starts in the slot this year and, just propels. But anyway, in 2022, in terms of coverage, 61.2 completion percentage. So that's good. 435 yards, 85.1 passer rating, and 1 touchdown given up. So if you're looking at his resume, just based on touchdowns, 1 touchdown given up in 3 years is very good. So that would be something that maybe the player scouting staff looks over, or just in general the coaching staff just saying, hey, listen, obviously he may not be a fit for our system 100%, but this guy's only given up 1 touchdown over 3 years. So there's that. He also had 38 tackles, if I didn't mention that already. And in terms of defensive snaps, 59% of the defensive snaps in a total of 15 games. And the year before that, I forgot to mention the defensive snaps, but 37% in the 11 games. So his snaps actually started teetering in 21. So the competition, what does it look like for Darnay Holmes? Cordell Flott in the slot. I don't think Flott is gonna, be on any cusp to get cut. So I just have him listed as a slot competition. You also have Amani Oruwariye, who is competing for a backup role. He's just not a slot guy. He is an outside guy. But he's competing for a backup role. Aaron Robinson's kind of doing both slot and outside because he has been totally taken down by injuries and he needs a chance to stay on the roster. Jamon Green, undrafted free agent out of Michigan. Leonard Johnson, who is a second-year player. Technically, this is his first year because he's coming off an ACL and then gets signed last year out of Duke. And then Rodarius Williams, who was drafted by the Giants in 21. And obviously, I did a whole video on him. Please check it out. So that's his competition. How can he win? Move up the depth chart on kick returner and punt returner. Now, the Giants don't necessarily have a stable system kick returner, punt returner wise. Kick returner, as of right now, it looks to be Gary Brightwell, at least coming over from last year. Eric Gray is another name that's being thrown out there, as well as Jalen Hyatt. Would rather not those two guys start, Hyatt and Gray, because they could be very, they could have a role in the Giants' offense, especially Jalen Hyatt as a third-round pick, being a wide receiver and all that. But the Giants don't necessarily have a set system. Punt returner was Richie James last year. He is now on the Kansas City Chiefs. I know guys like Mekhi Polk and Khalil Pimpleton are competing for those roles, kick returner and punt returner. But, I mean, if Darnay Holmes does lose the slot competition against Aaron Robinson or Cordell Flott or whatever the case is, I mean, listen, he could play kick returner and punt returner if you get the results. If you don't get the results, there's no need to force it. Show off experience. I mean, he's one of the most experienced corners in this room. Obviously, once again, holding penalties, we'll talk about that in just a second a little bit more. But he's got probably one of the, I would say he's got the most experience. Actually, probably outside of Amani Oruwariye, but in the slot, he's got the most experience. So, as a backup corner in general, show your experience. Beat out these young guys. Make plays versus the run and tackles in general. Darnay Holmes has gotten better at defending the run and just tackling overall. He used to be a string bean the first 2 years, but last year I noticed he got progressively better. And then be a slot ball hawk. Obviously, it's not really Darnay Holmes' thing to pick off passes. He's not that type of a physical corner. I mean, he did have 8 pass deflections last year, which is a career high for him. But 2 interceptions. I mean, in the slot, you're not going to get a lot of interceptions, but he's just not really the guy to be physical. But be super physical. Right now, you're on the cusp of being cut. Be super physical. Be a ball hawk. How can he lose? Holding penalties. As I said, in that first game against Tennessee, he had a ton of them that cost the Giants so many yards, it wasn't even funny. So lay off on the holding penalties. Try to do some exercises with yourself about, not holding, and maybe play off a little bit more. I don't know, but find something to where you don't commit as many holding penalties, whether it is in camp or in the preseason. Doesn't get many first-team reps. I don't imagine this being an actual thing. I think he will get some first-team reps, but right now I see it as Flott and Holmes as the mainstays for the slot competition, and Robinson will factor in, and so will Zion Gilbert. That's another name I forgot to mention, Zion Gilbert, for competition. But I would imagine he plays well enough to get first-team reps. I don't think he will play bad enough to not get first-team reps. Doesn't show anything on specials or makes any highlight tackles. I think the special teams thing is an add-on because he's got so much experience under his belt. He's given up 1 touchdown in 3 years. I think it's just an extra, but the Giants could use some burst on special teams, kick returner, punt returner. And in terms of highlight tackles or just tackling in general, if he doesn't make the tackles that, are in like key situations, whether it's a big run or stopping somebody from going in for a touchdown, whatever the case may be, in terms of highlight tackles, like, a tackle is a tackle, obviously. There's many opportunities to make one, but if it's in a key situation in the preseason, you got to make it, and if he doesn't, then that's going to be bad for him in terms of the roster spot that he's trying to get. Anyway, I do have him making the roster because he is probably the second most experienced competition guy. I think Cordell Flott, obviously, I think he makes the roster. I'm not going to do a video on him because there's no reason. Warrior, we will see. Robinson, we'll see. Green, Johnson, and I already said what my opinion is on Bradarius Williams making the spot on the roster, and that is that he's not. But again, check out that video. I profile him a little bit more. But I think he's got the experience. I think most of his career he stayed healthy. And the Giants need solid depth at corner. Hasn't been there the last few years. So like, comment, and subscribe to our post notifications so you know when a live stream pops to your jobs. Appreciate y'all coming back. One of these will be done every day. I think I calculated the amount of guys I have left. And I think this series is going to run till August 8th, if I'm not mistaken. But don't count me on that. One every single day until it stops in the middle of training camp. But we appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time.